Rishabh. Welcome Divansh to 3 Years LLB YouTube channel. I am just beyond excited to have both of you. So the 3 year versus 5 year debate. One thing that now we speak to 3 year students, we speak to 3 year aspirants, 5 year aspirants, and I think there are a lot of myths around it. The primary agenda of this session is to add a lot of insight and information. But before that, little introduction. So for everyone attending the session, we have a CLAT topper here, Divansh, and we have an NLSAT topper here, Rishabh. And a little context that in India you can do law broadly two ways: a 5 year course, which is via CLAT, 22, 24, or national universities participate, and then the 3 year course, which universities, colleges having their own entrance examination. NLSIU Bangalore, one of the most prestigious, coveted law schools of the country, offers both 5 year program and 3 year program via different entrance examination. And time and again, students find it really difficult as to which of the two routes they should opt for, and thus the session. So let's just begin a little bit with the introduction, and then we'll delve deeper into details. Rishabh, maybe you can start.
Hello, hi everyone. I think Kajal ma'am has introduced me well enough. I'm nice to see all of you here. Now, my name is Rishabh again. I have a background in economics. I did my economics from University of Delhi from SRCC, and then I was interested in social sciences as well. So, I mean, I was really interested in behavioral economics. I did a summer diploma, first summer school, and then a diploma from London School of Economics. And then it was then that I really decided that I want to work in public policy, something a bit more tangible or something a bit more like concrete and professional. And that's when I decided to do law, and I gave the NLSAT in 2025. And thankfully, I was able to make it. And yeah, like it's been a year now. I'm in my second year, and it's been a crazy journey, and I'm really enjoying my time here.
Thanks, Rishabh. Divyansh, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I am Divansh Gora, third year BLLB honors. Um, Law school, yeah, it is hectic. NLS is hectic. However, I'm enjoying a lot. Uh, Even retrospectively speaking, if I were to get a chance and have a choice again, I would definitely pick NLS. Uh, Apart from law, there are way more other opportunities. The better parts of NLS that I like is in addition to just BLLB honors, you have LLB honors, you have MPP, you also have a B honors badge and other programs. So you interact a lot with other people as well. That's one of the better parts.
Exposure. So NLS offers you exposure when you get to interact with people from different walks of life and pursue
Correct.
different domains. It also has LLM.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot to learn. I feel every person is a walking story, so you learn a lot from them. So both pretty much took the exam, appeared for the examination the same year, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was a
Yes,
coincidence. So something that the realization I had like an epiphany once I was like talking to you. So I had an epiphany that oh, both of them appeared for the examination the very same year, and Rishabh would be graduating in
28, ma'am.
2028, and Divyansh in 2030,
29.
29. Sorry, 29. So let's just start off with like one very basic question that I get asked a lot, which is that is it that one course has takes precedence over another, or one course has any unfair advantages once you enter the industry? So time and again, I think this myth that troubles more so specifically with students aspiring for 3 years law, that is it that the industry prefers 5 year students or they have access to more opportunities? And since both of you are at NLS, and again, one law school that it's a dream for every law aspirant out there, how would you describe if one course takes precedence over another, or it has like any unfair, it gives you any unfair advantage? You want to go first, like anyone?
Um,
Uh,
right, ma'am. So I think it differs. I mean, in terms of opportunities you get, and of course, in terms of access to resources, at least NLS does not differentiate at all. We also have amazing faculty. In fact, like I think both in terms of faculty placements, but also student placements and recruitment opportunities. all basically all in even international opportunities, vacation schemes, internships, externships, everything is open to both law batches. So I don't think in systemically there are any other like any such preferences in terms of recruiters as well. I don't think there are any hard coded firstly like eligibility scenarios at all that only 5 year people get into places and stuff. I think recruitment facts and figures from the last 2 years itself would say that LLB people are being placed in great tier one firms as well, international colleges and academia as well, and so on. I think where this issue might come from is probably that a lot of these batches are very nascent. So I think it just gets time for a lot of recruiters to even know that now there is a 3 year LLB batch, and for a lot of people to get familiar with it. For other colleges that already offer like flagship like 3 year placements like Symbiosis. The 3 year batch at LLB batch at Symbiosis or GLC, for instance, has very strong placements as compared to the rest of like I'd say other private colleges because those are the legacy and established batches. In NLS itself, again, no systemic opportunity differentiation at all. It's just like now I think that it's been 4 years. Our placements records and everything are getting stronger and stronger, and I think in terms of like the scope of what you can do with either degree, there is not much of a difference. It just takes time to establish your degree to the employers and to get the word out.
Whatever it is, when you're deciding onto a law school as well, alumni base is something that you factor in. And given that 5 year law courses have like a huge alumni base, by default, at all places you see 5 year students. That is one of the epicenters of the myth that oh, it's everywhere 5 years. It's because our batches have now started to graduate and they are getting placed at tier one law firms. They are taking up, I mean, not just law firms, but policy think tanks, clerkships, etc. It's one batch after another that you start to build that base. So thanks, Rishabh, for highlighting the aspect. Divyansh, since you are at a position which is essentially felt that to get the unfair advantage, what do you have to say about it?
Actually, yeah, I think around the same lines as Rishabh himself. I do not think there is any unfair advantage, especially at NLS. Like in addition to what Oli mentioned, equivalent opportunities and equivalent access exposure. In most of the elections, committees, even meetings, RCC and everything, LLB batches do get reservation. There is a batch-wise reservation. So LLB, BA honors, all other batches, they have some reserve seats. So even if there were to be a disparity with respect to number, that BA LLB has 300 seats and LLB honors has 120. Correct me if I'm not, yeah. So even with respect to that, to ensure that no discrepancy arises, they do have batch reservation. In addition to the placement records that Rishabh mentioned, uh, I would also like to bring up the fact that last 2 years, NLS produced two Rhodes Scholars. And when the first batch of LLB graduated, Vibha was one of the Rhodes Scholars. And the last batch of BLLB that graduated, Manhar was also a Rhodes Scholar. So it has also been recognized very prominently, even with respect to international institutions. Both of them will be studying at Oxford. They're also good friends. So even inter-batch connections are nice. So I do not think that there is an unfair advantage as such. And with respect to recruiters, also, I think it really boils down to your personal choices. So, for instance, if Risha were to apply for, say, some international trade team or anything, any team that is remotely related to economics, I think he would get a higher preference than just me, who has not done an economics elective or an economics background, plainly just me. And say, for instance, if I were to apply to some public policy background, because I have an internship in that respect and my interest is in social sciences, I am picking some of the social sciences electives as well. Plainly on that ground, the preference would be given to someone with more experience. So I think it is a very personal choice with respect to what your interests are and what your background is and what you're currently exploring in. So as for any unfair advantage, I think there is no unfair advantage as such, and the opportunities are really equivalent.
I agree. And I think one thing that students fail to gauge is that a lot is contingent on how do you utilize those, either your 5 years of law school or your 3 years of your law school. I mean, your academics, co-curricular activities, etc. So a lot is premised and contingent on that as well. Basically,
Correct.
how you're I would say exploiting all opportunities and resources available. It's not just the tag of the law school. Of course, it does help that because it amplifies your access to opportunities. But how well you utilize those 3 years or 5 years is what essentially defines your career trajectory. Correct me if I'm
Correct.
wrong, because eventually, so with the 3 years batch, you guys are being introduced to law right from the first semester, and with the 5 year batch, like a little later, maybe like the third or
Yeah.
fourth semester. Initially, anyways, a lot of BA subjects. So even at that end, both the courses are at par.
Yeah, so in the start, you have really light law courses. Actually, none now. For our batch, we only had legal methods is a compulsory course in the first trimester, obviously. In addition to that, we had torts law. But for the incoming batches now, torts law has also been shifted to the second trimester. So your actual law subjects come in second trimester, little bit of it in third trimester. Then second year onwards, it's majorly law and lesser BA courses. Now they also introduced a major system where students after their first year they pick one of the BA courses as their majors, and they have one major course in every trimester and three other law courses now. So that will go on till their third year. So for them, one BA course in their second and third year every trimester, and three law courses. So that would be the case. So BA subjects will continue till their third year, and law subjects will be there throughout.
Rishabh?
Yes, ma'am. So for the LLB batch, we get our law subjects from the first trimester itself. The first two are, of course, the introductory subjects like legal methods and torts that Divyansh mentioned, but we also have contracts law, and we only had one social science subject, like a BA subject would say, which is Introduction to Law and Social Sciences, which is limited to the first trimester itself. After the first trimester, all our subjects are pure law, and I think because the trimester system makes it so that even though the BLB course has like BA subjects as well, they're still able to do a lot more law courses.
Yeah.
So essentially, for us, for some courses at least, what they do is they combine the curriculum to teach us both aspects of like a course at once. For instance, the BLB course might do corporate law 1 and 2, while we have corporate law in which we cover both the corporate governance as well as IBC. And BLB has Juris 1 and 2, and we just have jurisprudence, which where we cover the entire theory and application and so on. So for us, it is a bit more jam-packed, a bit more compressed, but I think we're able to get through like basically every core law course. And for us as well, from second year onwards, electives start. I think it's the third year and onwards for BLB course. And electives are open for everybody. Basically, it's a
Everyone.
common election, so we are able to ultimately cover the same amount of law courses, probably in a few lesser trimesters because of the 3 year degree.
No discrepancy at that end as well. It's slightly more spaced for 5 year and like they've made more like the comprehensive, yet they've like put together everything under one umbrella for 3 years,
Yeah.
like corporate law instead of corporate law 1 and 2. Now, from that brings me to one very interesting question that again, two different spectrums. A lot of 3 year students maybe in say like their second year of college, and that is it too late for us to do law now? Like, are we too old? And for like 5 year, that are we too young for law? So, what are your thoughts at that end? I mean, does it really matter, or it should more be aligned with what are your interests or what exactly are you? A lot of students will not really have clarity right after class 12 as to what next in their careers. So, should be more at figuring out your interest, or age is like a factor that they should consider with regard to the 5 year or 3 year?
So, ma'am, for the 5 year, sorry, for the 3 year degree, I think we have a very diverse set of age ranges who are part of the course. I mean, we have people, of course, the median age is a bit higher. The median age would be probably around 26 to 29 for this course. But the we have people in their 40s and 50s and even 60s.
Yeah.
So I don't think when considering the 3 year LLB as such, age is a factor as such. And also because people who are a bit more mature might not want to like live in a very domed residential space that a lot of young students want to do. So the 3 year also provides like allows you for taking accommodation outside right from the very first trimester and so on. So it's a bit more accommodating that way, that you can stay outside campus and you can come in whenever you want. And yeah, age is like, if you're doing the 3 year LLB, no matter how old you are, that's not really a consideration you should be thinking as long as you're eligible for it.
Well articulated, Divyansh.
Yeah, actually, as one would expect, BLLB course is the relatively younger ones. You usually pick it right after school. Since I had taken a drop year, so I am one of the older lots of this batch. I'm not the oldest, but yeah, one of the older ones. I just turned 21. Most of the batch is around 20 or will turn 20 this year itself. There are some 19-year-olds as well. There are some 22 years old as well. But I think 20 would be the average age, or around 20 would be the average age of the batch. With respect to career choices, first year, clearly nobody has a set career choice as to what to do. Also, because first year we majorly study BA subjects and we're just introduced to law subjects, so you really do not have an idea. By second year, you start developing preferences as in really broad preferences, as to say somebody gravitating to more towards public law subjects and somebody gravitating more towards private law subjects or procedural law as subjects. By the time you're in third year, like say for now, when third year is just starting, it is now that you really have an idea of say at least what not to do, where you're not gravitating towards, if not what exactly to do. So by the time you're in third year, you start developing preferences as to where to approach, what sort of internships to target. Do you want to step into law firms? Do you want to litigate? Do you want to enter into public policy? And so on and so forth. So from third year onwards, it is more likely that people develop preferences, and it is very common to not be very clear about it, say by the end of third year as well, and to explore. But yeah, that is roughly the case.
Um, at least my interaction, I can broadly compartmentalize students under two heads. One who like a very clear certainty, they're absolutely certain that law is something that they want to pursue right after class 12, and they have like natural inclination towards that career. Of course, all of us have different aspirations, and by default, our aspirations are also a product of our parents' aspirations. The skill set, a lot of them would go for IIT, NEET, etc., CLAT. So there is this one set of students, and who would eventually also, if they'd missed out an opportunity that could not get into NLS, could not clear CLAT. I have two of my students, Twani and Ayush, joined NLS this year. That they back then they could not clear CLAT, and this year they started off their journey at NLS. There's this one set of students. So for them as well, like all attendees, if you have had your brush with CLAT and you could not get through, then yours is also a great choice. That's because if you're in say like your first year or second year of college, it does not really make sense to then appear for CLAT again and do a 5 year thing, because that essentially would mean that the entire course or the track journey would look like a 8 or a 9 year if it's also a gap year.
Yeah,
So 2 years of any college, then plus 5 years, it eventually come down to a minimum of 7 years.
correct.
3 years becomes like a more lucrative option. Then there is another chunk of population which is being introduced to law for the first time while pursuing graduation. And so we would see that a lot of students right after class 12 will join top colleges, and whether Delhi University, Ashoka, different aspects, different domains, journalism, economics. Rishabh is from economics, political science, etc. And then you eventually go for a master's degree once you're done with your grad, or for a lot of people, say from BCom, BBA, MBA is a more natural choice. I think for them, law is like a third career avenue that it still does not get factored in because there's very limited knowledge. So for them also, I feel it's a great career upgrade and a great career trajectory, and something that they can also opt for. So this major reservation as to is it that the 5 year gets advantage over 3 year is primarily for that chunk which is being introduced for with law for the first time in their So brings me to the last question, guys, that if you were to list down like a couple of parameters as to whether like a 5 year or a 3 year is a more objective choice for you, what would they be? That the students, audience, or me for that matter, like regardless of the age, regardless of where they are in their careers, the students are pursuing something, they have like a list of objective metrics which basis which they can take a call.
So I think it really boils down to what you want to do yourself. So a broad, all-encompassing objective technique will obviously not be certainly possible. It will never be certain. But roughly speaking, you should definitely be thinking of your own interests, as in what to pursue. See, for instance, I as a school student, I had an interest in humanities. I took humanities in class 11th and 12th, which is why BLLB felt like one of the
Natural choice.
one of the more natural choices, not only because there was BA, but also I was slightly interested in law. And BLLB also gave me that space, as you already mentioned yourself, it's more spaced out. So I had more chance to experiment with other career options, say public policy for that instance, research fellowship and other options. So I had more chance to space these things out to experiment a bit more. And for someone who's not really clear but also right now in school, and however, if you're roughly sure that you're going to be pursuing law, I think BLLB is one of the more natural choices. However, for someone who also is really strong or feels really strongly about some subject, say for instance somebody really wants to say study economics, company secretaries. I see a lot of people who do CS and then law. It is a really lucrative choice. One of my
Oh,
friends,
as
both of
well.
their parents are. Many people in NLS from my own batch write CS papers while being in NLS as well. That is one of the more lucrative choices. So if you feel really strongly about some subject, it is also natural for you to say pursue your undergraduate in that subject and then go on for law. You can combine both of them and work wherever you want together. So that is also one of the options. But it really boils down to your own personal preferences as to where you see yourself working, or if even seeing yourself working is a really far choice, I think you can still consider whether or not you have an interest in some specific field. So wherever you gravitate more towards, I think that is a more natural choice for you to.
Thank you, Divyansh. Rishabh?
Yes, ma'am. I think I resonate with Divyansh on the point that it's highly about your degree of ambivalence, because assuming you really want to do law, and law is a social field, like if you might really like a subject, and you probably have to consider whether you really want to go ahead and just research in that subject, or if pursue something in that subject, whatever you like, or whether you kind of also want to work in that subject towards a more policy domain and a public domain or a social domain. In which case, if you only want to like research for something that is hardly within the bounds of that subject, I think it makes sense for you to go ahead and like do your undergrad first. Like um, when I was initially pursuing economics, I really thought that I was into like uh, finance and like monetarist economics and so on. And then I gravitated a bit more towards behavioral at the end. And then I realized that I really want to work towards more of a social domain, towards public policy and so on. So if you're sure that the confines of whatever you're studying really fall within your subject, and also like technical expertise in that subject is what is like of foremost importance to you, like specialization in that subject, probably get done with your degree first and then choose whether you want to do law or not. This is also especially pertinent because NLS itself is a very prominent like NLU and also like a very good social science institution, of course, because it always had the MPP course and it started the BA honors course as well now. So it also has a range of social sciences faculty. So even if you do BLB honors here, you're also getting exposure to a lot of like social sciences research and so on. But if you do decide to do a BLB course in any other NLU, they might not have that extensive of a like a social science faculty or social science resources, and might prioritize law a bit more. In which regard, I think it's important that if you really want to like technically specialize in one particular domain, then you maybe perhaps do your undergraduation, in which, and you'd also then through the course of your undergrad, you'd realize whether you want to go ahead and do law and engage in public policy or not. If you are sure, if you're like if you're not sure of like choosing one particular subject, because the way Indian education works, again, we often box ourselves into undergraduate degrees. Like a lot of people choose degrees like history and political science and philosophy and economics, and then they realize later on in their second year of undergrad that this is not what they had signed up for. So
That
in that
usually
regard, if
happens with engineering. That it's
I
like 2
also,
year
yeah.
break that you take to figure out what next in life.
Yes, ma'am, and that's also, I think, primarily one of the reasons we have a significant number of engineers in our course as well. But so yeah, if you're very ambivalent about it, but you roughly know that you don't want to pursue like pure STEM research or pure mathematical research, and also not the sciences, but want to work somewhere in the social sciences, um, BLLB course will be great, especially if you can make it to like an institution which already has prominent social sciences resources like NLS, or even let's say JGLS for that matter. Make sure, like, whichever institution you're going in, try to research their faculty, try to research the course offerings and electives to see that you are getting the scope and the breadth of social science opportunities that you're looking for from that degree before opting into it. But yeah, I think like if you're ambivalent about it, BALB can be a great way to explore your options.
Thank you so much, Rishabh, and thank you so much, Divansh. It's always a fun conversation with both of you, and I think fun and insightful. So possibly the session will make it a lot easier for a lot of students who, as I would quote Rishabh, like are ambivalent about as to which way should be, say, like the next step in their career trajectories, and will be of help to them. Thank you so much for your time. I think I cannot express my gratitude in words, because I understand that NLS is extremely hectic, and something that the Divyansh had mentioned in the very beginning of it. It's not just academic commitments, but like a gazillion other non-academic commitments too. Plus, it's a trimester system. I understand it must be extremely hectic for you guys. Thank you so much. We'll continue to have such insightful sessions. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for doing the session with me.
Our pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Again,
Rishabh.
ma'am,
Thank you,
appreciate the
Divyansh.
opportunity. Thank you.